I'm Landon, and I talk about the South and all the intricacies of living here on the accounts Landon talks all across the internet. I talk too much, to be honest. And I got to work with the Johnson Collection to curate the gallery Draped in Time, Spanish Moss, and the Tapestry of the South. I hope you enjoyed as much as we all did. Let's discuss some art, y'all. I was recently given the opportunity by the Johnson Collection to curate a whole gallery. I can't explain to y'all what this means. Y'all see me doing this on the internet, but I used to be an art teacher. So being able to be on that side of the art world is truly mind-blowing to me. It's such an opportunity, and it was hard. I had to do a lot of work for it. But this is that gallery, and it's on Spanish Moss, the title of the gallery, Draped in Time, Spanish Moss, and the Tapestry of the South. Me and the loveliest group of people, the team at the Johnson Collection, put together this gallery. They even hung Spanish moss up and not one red bug was to be found. They knew what they were doing though. Don't play with Spanish moss if you don't know what you're doing. But all these paintings are paintings from the Johnson Collection itself, which is a private collection of artwork. But their mission is to share artwork with everybody. So they've put this out in this gallery for everybody to see. So I got to go to South Carolina, all the way to Spartanburg, which is a lovely town. It's a whole lot like Laurel. So we worked on this remotely. Then I got to get there and see these in person. And it was a totally different experience in seeing them in person. And we wanted to sort of tell a story of art and a story of the South at the same time. So on the back gallery, you'll get some more black and white type paintings. And then as you move through, they get a little bit more realistic. And then in the front gallery, they're a little bit abstract. It's a beautiful progression, and the artworks are just stunning. I love each and every one of them. This one is my favorite right now. You see the luminosity of this painting. You see how luminous it is. There's so much light. In a minute, this one will be my favorite, and in a second, I'll have a whole nother favorite. But it just, when I'm in front of them, that's my favorite painting. Do you find yourself preferring realism or abstraction more? When I'm by this one, it's my favorite. Like the South itself, Spanish moss is no one single thing, but it exists as a vital member of an intricate biome with its neighboring flora and fauna. I love to say flora and fauna. For some reason, that feels fancy, even though we all know it feels fancy though. This particular painting reminds me of lightning bugs or fireflies, however you want to call them. They're beautiful bugs that light up. This evokes that. But listen, the Johnson Collection loves to celebrate the South and about Spanish moss, obviously, but we got to explore their deeper collection. There is something about seeing all this incredible artwork in storage that it spans hundreds of years, this artwork does. It's just stunning. I feel so privileged to be able to experience this, and I'm also so grateful for the Johnson Collection for preserving these works. They're like pieces of journalism from years ago. This is those centuries versions of taking a snapshot of the time and place. It's history. It's like beautiful. I'm such a nerd, but I love it. This is one of my favorite things that we got to see. This is Ami. She's incredible. She's so cool, much cooler than me. I had a great time like absorbing her coolness, but she's showing us a frame so old, made out of paper mache, but it has like details in the paper mache. It's not just like generic paper mache. Like I can make a big old like stage props, but like an intricate, delicate paper mache frame. My lord. And not only did we get to experience some incredible artworks with these very cool people, we also got to eat at the Piedmont Club in Spartanburg and the Kennedy. Incredible. A+ Spartanburg. This painting is one that they have that's by a Mississippi artist. Sharing art is important to the Johnson Collection, and they work with Meeting Street Academy, which is a public school in Spartanburg, a blue ribbon school, which the school I used to work at is also a blue ribbon school. They're a big deal. It's a big deal. I told you, Laurel and Spartanburg are so similar. Anyways, Blake, another very cool person from the Johnson Collection, took us to Meeting Street Academy. We did a project that was inspired by a project I did at my old school about Chihuly. It was focused on Spanish moss vibes, if you will. And we took recycled plastic, cleaned out, used plastic bottles, and the kids used Sharpies to get color all over these clear plastic bottles and turn them into a specific color. And then we and the kids took scissors and cut spirals into them to then make this one giant chandelier that's now hanging in the gallery at the Johnson Collection, because it evokes Spanish moss vibes, doesn't it? This was important to me because it's important to share art with everybody. It's also important for me to share with kids that you can make art out of literally anything, even trash. Super cool experience. So this is me making a very dramatic entrance because I had a gallery talk that evening where we talked about it. Also because Pierce Bespoke made me this suit, and y'all, it is so fun. And even they put my friend Adam Tress artwork, he made a painting about Spanish moss, in the lining of it. They've got my initials in it. They've got Let's Discuss. Can you believe? So we headed to the gallery to get ready. We met some incredible people. We smelled this very good candle from a company called Bridgewater Candle Company. Y'all need to check them out. They help feed children with every purchase of a candle. So we're definitely going to blast them. But then Sarah, lovely, introduced me, and I went up there and just talked so much. And I fast forwarded through all this because mostly what I'm saying is, and this painting is Spanish moss vibes. And do you see the vibes in this one? That's Spanish moss vibes. And this one has Spanish moss vibes and these are Spanish moss vibes, and those are Spanish moss vibes. And then we had a question and answer time, and it was really, really fun. And let me use this opportunity to say, I love to see y'all out and about in person. It is totally strange to me to come off the phone and into real life, because I see numbers and I see usernames, but seeing y'all in person is something that is just so fun. It's so incredible. It's something that I still haven't wrapped my brain around. So grateful. So if you ever see me out and about, please say hello. I would love to chat. So if you're anywhere near Spartanburg, first of all, go visit that beautiful little city. It is so quaint. I'm all about it. But then go see the gallery at the Johnston Collection. They have incredible artwork and they're incredible people, and whatever they've got going on is something that you want to be a part of. So go see Draped in Time, Spanish Moss, and the Tapestry of the South. I'm so proud of it, and I'm so proud to have y'all on this ride with me.
So art is surprising, and experiencing art in person is different than experiencing art digitally or on print. And this is an example of one of those paintings that is just so much more brilliant in person. Now, I fell in love with it digitally because that's how I viewed it. This is Thomas Richard's Live Oaks in South Carolina, and I chose this painting because of the live oak feature in this painting. They host a broad array of diversity of life, live oaks do. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor for the South. They also host a lot of Spanish moss, but live oaks live for so long. They're generational trees. The Spanish moss inside of them has not even a symbiotic relationship with it, because they don't take from the tree. They take what the tree gives off. So it's an epiphyte, which is more like a pineapple or an air plant than a parasite. And so that's why I chose this painting, because of the live oakness of it. And I love the live oak, and I think they're so important. I think they're so beautiful. They often contain resurrection ferns that come back to life when it rains. So I could talk about live oaks all the time. But as far as art goes, this painting, when I walked into this gallery, surprised me so much, because there are tiny little, I would barely even call them brushstrokes. It's almost like they turned the brush around and were using the back of the wooden part of the paintbrush and just dotted the tiniest little dots of color that give it such an ethereal fairy tale quality around it. Even the deer pictured here amongst the beautiful flowers here, it just gives it kind of a sleeping beauty, like fairy tale quality that I am very surprised by. This didn't come across when I was looking at these paintings, and I loved the painting anyways. So when you experience something in person and it's even better than what you thought it was, that's a magical moment, and this painting did that for me. So I'm really glad that it's included here. This is one of my favorite paintings in the gallery. It's by Anne Tanksley, and it's special one because obviously it's a beautiful painting and the color is so beautiful. We were so excited when we saw like the Spanish moss kind of hauntingly draped from up here, but it's depicting a group of women from the Gullah Geechee community, and they are important to all of our cultures in America, but especially to the South, and especially to me, because I grew up watching a show called Gullah Island, and some of you may have done that as well. And I've become very good friends with Miss Natalie and Mr. Ron, the mom and dad from Gullah Island. Every time I talk to them, I just fully panic because I think they're just superheroes. But this depicts that community, and the Gullah community is strong on the East Coast, and their culture trickled down and spread throughout the whole South. And Anne wanted to document that with her paintings here. She traveled amongst the Gullah Geechee and learned a lot from them, learned about perseverance from them. She references Zora Neale Hurston's work in this painting, as well as the 1991 film Daughters of the Dust. So it captures just a moment in time of the women of the Gullah Geechee, who I consider to be they're very strong women. They are very important in their households and in the community. And it's just a celebration of that. The colors are celebratory. You can see that they're all together here, reflecting their sense of community. It makes me feel like I want to be there. They've got stuff going on. They're living life together, not just congregated. And I think it's such a beautiful depiction of it. The way she uses color and her choice of subject matter, so cool. The Study for Marion and His Men in a Swamp, which is a very famous painting, and it is by William Washington. It's oil on canvas, and look how it just glows. Even before I knew anything about this painting, just approaching it, even digitally, it's just so enthralling the way it looks like this. It looks like it's literally glowing off the screen, and it shows this sense of community between all of these people here. Now, it may be a little bit of a hyperbole. They probably weren't all actually like having dinner in the swamp at this time period, but it's just a beautiful depiction of community here. For me personally, I love the history of it, but I just super love the art of this one. It's easy to fall in love. For me, it's easy to fall in love with abstract paintings. It's easy for me to fall in love with sketches. More realistic work, sometimes I'm not super drawn to it, but this one just pulls me right in every time. I feel like I could be in there in that painting, and the light from it, I just love that so much. When artists can capture light like this, I think it's so important. And I think it's also, let's have an art lesson for a moment. Sometimes I'm a person who wants to do it all so big. Like if I wanted to focus on light, I would have made this entire thing glowing. But the moments that aren't glowing are so important to this painting, and they make the moments that are glowing, which is the people, pop so well. I just think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful piece of work. Is Helen Hyde. It's called On the Big PD, and what an interesting name first off. But it reflects her work with Japanese woodblocking prints, which are special to me because our town has a really huge collection of Edo prints from a long time ago. So one of the first art I interacted with Japanese woodblocks. So I've always been fascinated by that process. And she uses that to get this clarity that you see here and all these details that she's got. You see the Spanish moss draped so lovingly. But what it depicts is a mother and her child, and I think that is just so beautiful. If you've noticed throughout the gallery, there's a lot of women pictured and a lot of women depicted. I think that women are so important to the South and to all cultures, but I just love the depiction of this because you've got this woman here enjoying the scene that she's got, but she's also got her daughter, and just the maternal bond there just seems so cozy. How they have a sense of wonder, both of them have a sense of wonder, and it's always like she's showing her daughter the beauty of the moss draped above them. So, as a person experiencing art and as an artist, I love to see other artists' perspectives. I love to see how they're looking at things and how they depict things and how they show things. I love realistic artwork. I mean, that's such a skill, and it's so technical, and it's so beautiful and so impressive. But I really love to get inside of the artist's mind. I think both of these do that so well. When you start getting into abstraction, that's when I think it gets really brilliant. And I think both of these paintings are just such great abstractions of nature here in the South, especially Spanish moss related. Here you have the glow of the fireflies or the lightning bugs, depending on where you are, what you would call them. And the colors here are so vibrant. It's bright and beautiful, but it also could be nighttime at the same time. I just think it lends itself to a lot of thought and a lot of thinking about what this is and where this is. I think both of these feel like when you lay down underneath the tree and you're looking up through the tree and the light is filtering through them. This one at nighttime with the lightning bugs, and this one at daytime for me personally, because the shadow underneath the tree. It's just so beautiful, and it kind of encompasses one of the things that's very beautiful about Spanish moss, which is how it filters light and how you experience space with the moss and the light filtered all around you. And both of these capture that in such a beautiful way. I think they're excellent renditions of Spanish moss, and I'm so glad that we got to put them in this as well. So this is Night Push by Kenneth Young. And again, we're in our abstract world, but this is maybe looking up through the canopy at nighttime with the moonlight filtering through. The colors that he captures are so beautiful and so vibrant and just so exciting. And I think this is such a beautiful way to describe what you're seeing when you're looking up through a southern canopy at nighttime. It takes the space and the negative space, if you call it, I hate to use the word negative, but these holes that are left are so exciting. Instead of just being like a black dot, because of the colors that he's got surrounding it, it makes it such an exciting moment. And I almost want to like know what's beyond the color. What am I seeing? What am I not seeing beyond the color through these little holes that give us a glimpse of the night sky? I think it's so beautiful and so exciting. It's almost got an aurora borealis feel to it, which is not anything you'd find here. So really exciting to us in the South. I would love for people to come here and experience Spanish moss from a very romanticized perspective. That's how I live most of my life. I've romanticized pretty much everything, even to a fault. But I think Spanish moss lends itself to a romantic quality and to a romantic feel. And I hope that if you come in here, maybe you would leave having a different appreciation for Spanish moss and the beauty that it brings, and again, the vibes that it sets and how it feels and how important it is to the South. And then I hope that from a much larger perspective, we take a look at the South itself and the diversity of cultures within the South, just like Spanish moss shows us in the trees. I hope that you would leave here being proud of where you're from, also being aware of where we're from, and being aware of that history and how it has affected us today and all of the different groups that have come together to make what we are now.